Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and it's Thursday. As always, on Thursdays, I like to cover the vintage collection. So I've got some recent sales over the last week for TVC items, a few vehicles, just a few graded, and then a lot of earlier TVC that sold here recently. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters, and I need to give a shout out to a new Patreon supporter, Mike Parker. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up. You'll get 24 hours early access. And as time allows, I do like to also include buy it now alerts for my Patreon supporters for various items on eBay that are either for sale or at auction, kind of beyond what I usually cover in my Friday what to buy videos. So hopefully you guys have found some good deals over the last few weeks, although I was out of town last week. So trying to play catch up, and we're going to start off with the vintage collection for my first video back from hunting. This is Power Droid, a seller that we know well if you watch my vintage collection videos. He has a limitless supply of really high grade early TVC that are basically all case fresh. Lots of unpunched gems that are harder to find unpunched. And he had a recent batch that he listed and all sold. And first is the VC08 Revenge of the Jedi Darth Vader. This is the SDCC box set version. So very nice example there. That one did sell for 90 bucks plus $7 shipping on that. And he also did sell this foil example, the Ultimate Galactic Hunt foil General Grievous. This was the US card with the Boba Fett VCP03 rocket firing Fett offer. That one sold for $150, pretty strong price there. And then he also did have an unpunched General Grievous, just the standard retail release, non-foil example on the US card. That one sold for $120. And again, he only has one photo when he lists these, but I haven't been able to see any issues with them based on the one photo. I have bought from this seller as well. I know a number of you have as well. And I mean, in general, they're just really nice examples. He does offer free returns as well. I'm not being paid to sponsor this guy or anything. I just know that he has very high grade examples for TVC 1.0 for those of you that are looking to fill in holes in your collection. Also had another Commander Gree, VC43 on the US card, unpunched. Beautiful example there. That one sold for $130. And he's never the cheapest, but you're going to get something that is in really good condition. He ships them in the star case. So I just feel like, you know, if you're looking for a particular character that's from the TVC 1.0 line of figures, keep an eye out or maybe even message him. But it's power.droid on eBay. He also had an ARC Trooper Commander with the Darth Maul offer. This was another unpunched US card. That one did sell for $110 plus shipping. And I know this is not TVC, but I wanted to at least point out he's got other items available. And this is a really nice pair for the Legacy collection, that probably one of, if not the most expensive pair of figures from the Legacy collection. That's Jason and Jaina Solo. And those sold for big money, but they were advertised as case fresh, and they look it. I mean, they look pretty much perfect. And so those are very desirable Legacy collection figures, and those sold for $400 plus shipping. So that's a big number. You can probably get them cheaper. Don't get me wrong. I think that if you're looking for them, you can probably get them for sub $200 each. But they are very tough to find, especially in that kind of condition. So I did want to point those out since those sold this week along with those TVC 1.0. This seller had a few of the 3-packs. They were not perfect. This one had some scuffing on the card back, but this is the Imperial set with the Imperial Commander, Dengar, and the AT-AT driver. So this is a Target exclusive special action figure 3-pack. That one sold for $80. And then the same seller also had the Imperial Forces 3-pack. And again, had some scuffing on the card, so not perfect, and hence the prices. They were a little bit lower than probably what they would go for if they were near mint plus condition. But this one has Bosk IG-88 and then the Snow Trooper. It's kind of strange to me. I mean, to me, it makes more sense to include the Snow Trooper as part of this Imperial set and then take Dengar and put him with the bounty hunters. So I don't know why they did that originally, but that's the way they did it. Maybe they were just trying to force people who only collect bounty hunters to buy this set and buy the other set also. You know, just spread them out to kind of force people to buy the Target exclusives. And but to me, it makes more sense to include the Snowtrooper as part of that previous set and include Dengar as part of this set. But both of those did sell for $80. This was a good deal this week from Brian's Toys. This was at auction, and this is the 3-pack of a 3-pack that we talk about all the time, another Target exclusive. That one sold in an auction for $76 plus $15 shipping. That was a steal of a deal. And I don't know how, what kind of condition it looks. I mean, the front, it looks pretty good. To me, I was shocked that it sold for this low. And, it's very hard to find this absolutely perfect. It did have some kind of minor issues on the left-hand side there, but give me a break. $76 plus $15 shipping. It's going to cost you $100 to ship that, most likely. So that was a very good deal for the 3-pack of a 3-pack. Next up was the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. I got it mixed up with the Vader. But this is the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett with the prototype VC61 Boba Fett offer, unpunched US card. That one did sell for $110. Pretty good deal there. That looked very clean. And then here is the 501st Legion Clone Trooper with the Darth Maul offer, unpunched US card. That one did sell for $108. Very clean looking example. I didn't see really any issues with that based on the limited photos there, but that one did sell, and I buy it now for $108. Here was a punched example of the retail release of the Revenge of the Jedi Princess Leia VC64 with the prototype Fett offer. Now, it was punched US card. That one still sold for $270. That's a pretty strong price relative maybe to some of the ones we've seen, but it was not perfect. I mean, you can see on the back of the card at the bottom there, it did have some very light edge wear to it, but that's a stronger price than what we've seen recently. I think kind of $200 to $225 for a punched example is probably doable. This one did have a crease on the front of the card. I don't know if the buyer just didn't notice it, but you can see there a very light crease on the lower right-hand corner. Next up was a Grand Moff Tarkin. This one was a very clean example. This is one we've talked about recently that's come back down to earth. For a while there, it was kind of $150, $175, maybe even $200. And this one did sell for $100 plus shipping. Very good deal on what looked to be a very clean example, unpunched US card for Grand Moff Tarkin VC98. And then I had a couple of different sales this week for the Smuggler's Run edition of the Millennium Falcon. This is the Galaxy's Edge box set. This one sold for $700. And then there was another one that sold. This one sold for $810. So now this one was free shipping. This one was also free shipping. So pretty crazy price difference there. Both of those sold this week for the Smuggler's Run. And this one, that sold for $810 was not even that clean. So you can see there, it had a lot of damage there on that one versus this one that appeared to be a lot cleaner at first blush. So don't overpay for it. $700 is kind of, I would say, top end number. Maybe $750 at the very top. But, I bet if you're patient, you can probably pick this up for sub $700. But this box did look pretty clean overall. And it also included Han trench coat. So loose example there. And then this was probably the lowest sale I've seen recently for the Katana sail barge, the HasLab Jabba sail barge. This one sold in an auction for $1,700 plus shipping from New York. So that was $150 shipping. So $1,850 after shipping for a Minton shipper box Katana sail barge. That feels like the lowest price I've seen here recently. And then I had three different graded examples that sold. This was an uncirculated 9.5, very high grade for the prototype armor Boba Fett VC61. This one sold in an auction as well for $405. That's one of the stronger prices I've seen for VC61 in a long time. But admittedly, it was an uncirculated 9.5. I would wager that this one is probably the highest graded on the population report. Maybe there's a 9.75 out there, but I doubt it. I would say that 9.5s on the modern scale with AFA are very tough to get. Obviously, they sent in the sealed shipper box, rolled the dice to see what they would get on it, and they got the 9.5. So that is a very nice example and strong price to go along with that. This one was the uncirculated 9.0 2019 release for Klaatu Skiff Guard VC 135. It doesn't show the list price on here. I just noticed that, but I think based on memory from when I pulled it up this morning, it sold for $118 free shipping. So that's a pretty strong price for a fairly recent release from 2019 for the Klaatu Skiff Guard. Great sculpt on that one though. I love kind of the paint apps they did. And, you know, Boss Bounty just had a ask Boss Bounty about why are the paint apps so crappy lately for the vintage collection, kind of the recent releases. It feels like they've kind of skimped a little bit on the paint apps. And so that's what triggered adding this one to it, because I always felt like this was a really clean figure where they kind of went above and beyond in terms of the paint apps on it. And it feels like, based on that video that Boss Bounty released, that they're skimping a little bit maybe on some of the paint applications. Let me know as you're leaving me a like. I'm sure you guys have all watched that video from this past Sunday, and you know, maybe leave me a comment if you kind of agree with that. But I don't collect the vintage collection anymore. I just put together this weekly video for you guys. But, you know, just looking at the glory kind of glamour shots that Hasbro releases, it does feel like some of the figures, not all of them, but some of the figures, they've really kind of dropped the ball in terms of taking the extra effort. And to me, you know, with the technology those guys have in the factories now, it just feels like an unnecessary cutting of the corners on some of them. And then finally, we had this. I don't know why someone paid this, but someone paid $200 for an AFA, or excuse me, a CAS 75. No offense if it was you, but this is the original release Ahsoka, and it was only a CAS 75 for $200. To me, you'd be better off buying one ungraded and really zoom in on the photos, and then send it in, spend the extra 60 or 70 bucks after shipping to CAS and get it graded yourself. I know you can get a higher grade than a 75 on VC 101 Ahsoka if you're patient. I mean, I've seen them go recently, very clean, certainly better than a 75 grade example for 150 to 175 bucks ungraded. Spend a little bit more and grade it yourself, either with AFA or CAS, and get a minimum 80, but probably more like an 85. 85 should be very doable for any VC 101 Ahsoka. But, you know, who knows? Maybe this seller accidentally, you know, the blister cracked, or, you know, got scuffed up in shipping. That's happened to me a couple of times. It does happen. So I'm not trying to dog the seller for submitting this for grading. But I think if I'm the buyer on this, I would be a little more patient and not drop $200 plus shipping on this, plus sales tax. I mean, that's easily approaching $225, and you can find one of these ungraded right now. I mean, 150, 175, maybe 200 at the very top end, but that can be very clean and grade it yourself if you're into these graded vintage collection. Anyway, that's all I really had for this video. Thank you again to Mike Parker for becoming a Patreon supporter, and I will be back very soon.